In the burning heart of the African savanna, a lioness made a choice that seemed perfect. A young African buffalo calf. Small, slow, separated. For one of Africa's most feared predators, it looked like an easy kill. But seconds after the attack, everything changed. The ground began to tremble. Heavy hooves thundered through the dust. Massive horns lowered toward the predator. The adult African buffalo herd was no longer running away. It was turning back. And now this was no longer just a hunt. It was a fight for survival. The African savanna had been quiet under the harsh afternoon sun. Across the dusty open plain, an adult African buffalo herd walked in a tight formation. Their dark bodies pushed through the dust like a moving wall of muscle and horns. At the center of the herd were the young African buffalo calves. Small, vulnerable, protected on every side. Far away, hidden low in the dry savanna grass, a lioness watched without moving. Her golden tan body blended into the dry earth. Her ears stayed flat. Her yellow eyes followed every step of the herd. She was not looking for the strongest. She was looking for weakness. Predators do not survive by fighting fair. They survive by finding the one mistake that opens the door to a kill. African buffalo are not helpless animals. Their horns can break bones. Their hooves can crush a predator into the ground. Even lions know the danger of attacking them. But every herd has a vulnerable point. A young African buffalo calf cannot run as fast as the adults. It cannot defend itself. And if it is cut away from the group, it cannot survive for long. The lioness understood this perfectly. She stayed low. She waited. Then one young African buffalo calf began to fall behind. Maybe it was tired. Maybe it was distracted. Maybe it simply moved a few steps too far from protection. In the African savanna, a few steps can decide life or death. The lioness froze. Her muscles tightened. Her tail dropped. For one silent moment, the world seemed to shrink down to only two things: the young African buffalo calf, and the distance between them. Then the grass exploded. The lioness launched forward with terrifying speed. The adult African buffalo herd erupted into panic. Dust shot into the air as heavy bodies scattered in every direction. The young African buffalo calf turned and tried to run. But its legs were too weak, too slow, too late. The lioness closed the distance in seconds. Her paws slammed into the side of the young African buffalo calf. The calf crashed into the dirt. The predator rolled with it through the dust. Then the lioness bit firmly into the throat of the young African buffalo calf and pinned it down with the weight of her body. For a moment, the savanna belonged to the hunter. This was what lions were built for: ambush, speed, impact, control. The young African buffalo calf struggled beneath her, kicking weakly, calling desperately toward the herd. The adults had scattered. Dust, hooves, and fear swallowed the sound. It looked as if the hunt was over. The lioness had made the perfect strike. But in the wild, a kill is not truly won until it is defended. And this one was far from over. Through the dust, one African buffalo stopped running. Then another. An adult female African buffalo turned her head back toward the sound of the calf. Her body froze. The young African buffalo calf was still calling. That sound changed everything. Fear began to break apart. Something heavier took its place: anger. The adult female African buffalo lowered her head and stepped forward. Another adult followed, then another. Within seconds, the scattered herd began to reform into a dark wall of muscle, horns, and rage. The lioness lifted her eyes from the calf. She saw the first African buffalo coming, then the second, then the herd behind them. The hunter had expected panic, but the panic was gone. The lioness snarled and tried to drag the calf away, but the ground was open. The calf was heavy, and the adult African buffalo herd was closing fast. A huge adult African buffalo charged first. Its heavy curved horns dropped low. The lioness released the calf and jumped back just as the animal thundered past. The ground shook beneath its hooves. Then another African buffalo came from the side. Then another. The lioness spun, teeth exposed, claws ready. But she was no longer in control. The easy kill had become a battlefield. The adult African buffalo herd pressed forward. Their bodies formed a living wall between the lioness and the young African buffalo calf. The predator tried to circle around them, but every path was blocked. One adult African buffalo stepped in front of her. Another moved behind her. A third rushed forward with its horns swinging upward like weapons. The lioness leapt away, missing the strike by inches. One hit from those horns could tear through her body. One stomp from those hooves could shatter her ribs. She still had speed. She still had teeth. But neither mattered if the herd refused to open a path. The African buffalo were not chasing blindly. They were driving her away. Step by step, charge by charge. Dust swallowed the battlefield. Horns flashed through the haze. Behind the line of adults, the young African buffalo calf was hidden by the bodies of those who had returned to protect it. The lioness had wanted one weak target. Instead, she had awakened the strength of the entire herd. For a moment, the lioness refused to retreat. Hunger pushed her forward. Instinct told her the calf was still close. She lowered her body and tried to slip around the edge of the herd. But the African buffalo reacted instantly. One massive African buffalo bull broke from the group and charged. The lioness twisted away. The horns missed by inches. Another adult joined from the side. Then a third. The predator was being boxed in. The herd had what the lioness did not: numbers, weight, unity, and a reason to fight. The lioness made one final attempt to stand her ground. She opened her mouth and roared toward the advancing wall. But the herd did not break. The horns stayed low. The bodies kept coming. That was the moment the lioness understood the truth. This meal was no longer worth the risk. The lioness turned and ran. She moved quickly, staying low, watching behind her as the adult African buffalo herd continued to push forward. The herd chased just long enough to drive her away from the calf. They did not need to kill her. They only needed to remove her. And they did. The lioness retreated into the dry savanna grass, her body tense, her mouth open as she breathed heavily. She had survived, but she had lost the kill. Behind her, the adult African buffalo herd gathered tightly. Adults surrounded the young African buffalo calf. The adult female African buffalo moved close. The others stood facing outward, watching the dry grass for any sign of another attack. The savanna became quiet again, but it was not the same silence as before. This silence carried the memory of violence. No young African buffalo calf survives long alone. But this young African buffalo calf had never truly been alone. Lions are among the most feared hunters in Africa. They survive by speed, timing, and the ability to find weakness inside chaos. A lioness does not need to defeat the entire herd. She only needs to separate one life from the protection of the group. That is the brutal strategy of the African savanna. But African buffalo survive by a different law. A single calf is fragile. A lone buffalo can fall. But a united herd becomes something few predators dare to challenge. Their horns become spears. Their bodies become walls. Their hooves turn the ground into a weapon. And when fear turns into fury, even lions must step back. One side fought to eat. The other fought to protect. The lioness attacked because hunger demanded it. The herd returned because instinct demanded it. On this day, the predator found the weakest member of the herd. But it forgot one thing. The weakest member was protected by the strongest wall in the wild. A lioness can win a hunt. But against an adult African buffalo herd that refuses to abandon its own, even a lioness can be forced to run.